Hello and welcome to the Titus Timeout podcast. I'm Jenny Abney-Civy, and today we're going to discuss the difference between normally open and normally closed VAV boxes. This terminology goes back to the days of pneumatic controls. Pneumatic actuators have an internal spring that is controlled by air pressure. When the air pressure is less than the spring tension, the actuator will retract. So it kind of looks like this. We'll draw a pneumatic actuator. This is the body of it, and then this part is what connects to the damper assembly. Inside you have a spring. So the spring moves back and forth to push the arm that is connected to the actuator back and forth. So when the air pressure is less than the spring tension, the spring will retract, pulling the arm back up towards the actuator. So let's draw this on a damper shaft. So we're looking at just the end of the shaft here. And the shaft is attached to the actuator through a linkage. So you have a piece that goes around the damper shaft that holds onto it, and a piece that's connected to the actuator with a pivot point between the two. So as the spring stretches or retracts, it'll push this pivot point out, which will rotate the section connected to the damper shaft. And this opens and closes the damper. So there's two ways to connect the actuator to the damper. One way pulls the damper closed when the spring retracts, and the other pulls the damper open when the spring retracts. The damper that is set to open when the spring retracts is called normally open, and the one that is set to close when the spring retracts is called normally closed. So why would you want one versus the other? Well, that depends on the application of your VAV boxes. You really want to know what needs to happen upon a failure. Often you want the damper to be open on a failure, so that when the system starts up again, all the boxes are not shut off. You also want a damper normally open for smoke removal, so if you lose control pressure, all the dampers will fail open. And you'd want a normally closed damper if you have the need to isolate the area if there's a failure in the control air pressure. We occasionally get requests for normally open or normally closed on digital controls. The challenge here is that the actuator on a digital VAV box is powered by 24 volts. Upon power failure, the actuator loses power and just stays where it is. There's no way to make a standard electric actuator be normally open or normally closed. You can get spring return actuator for digital controls. These do cost a little bit more, but they will give you the normally open or normally closed operation. Let's make a little more room here. We find that often when we get requests for normally open VAV box, what they really want is for the box to ship in the open position. This way, when the HVAC system starts up, all the boxes are open and you don't blow up your ductwork. This is the standard position that we ship our VAV boxes from the plant. Every damper is manually set to full open before it leaves the plant. So that's the difference between normally open and normally closed. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks for taking the time out with us.